Hi, my name is Andrea. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. What I do on this channel is I explore what it's like to go all through your 20s and all through your 30s, being child free, and in my case, child free by choice, and I mean adamantly child free by choice, to then changing your mind and deciding to be a mom at 40. So my really quick version of my personal story is I'm a physical therapist. I was a clinic director. I was a clinic owner. I was a business partner. I was highly involved in my community. For me, the most important thing in my life was to achieve and to just work as hard as I could and to become as experienced as I could business wise. And then when I turned 40, I just realized that just wasn't the only path I wanted my life to go down. So my husband and I decided to have a baby, and I became a mom at 40. What I also do is I explore the relationship, the physical and the psychological changes that come along with navigating such a change in your life. So what I'm going to talk about today is how am I preparing for a postpartum experience, and how am I preparing for a home birth? So as anybody else who's a mom knows, you only have so much time. So my husband took my daughter and they are going off and they'll be gone for 45 minutes. So what am I going to try to do in that 45 minutes? I'm going to try to take a really quick everything shower because I get to be by myself. Thus the wet hair. Try to get in a super duper quick workout just to make sure that my muscles are strong enough to deliver a baby. I don't get to work out as much as I would like or as much as I say I value because I just physically don't have the time. Did I have the time during my first pregnancy? Yes, because I still didn't have a child that was watching all the time. And so it is interesting how how your priorities and how the things that you do shift. So then I got my shower, got my quick workout. Now I'm going to try to do a real quick YouTube video. And I usually try to script these out, and I just haven't. So we're just going to see how this goes today. How am I preparing for a home birth? With the caveat of also being prepared for hospital transfer should that become necessary. So here are the things I have done. I have made a home birth list of who the people who are involved. So I have a midwife, my midwife's assistant, and I've hired a doula, and my husband. They will all be here supporting me. I have also asked 3 really near and dear people to my heart to be here. A really long time dear friend, a newer friend who has some experience in labor and delivery. She's also a doula, but I didn't hire her to be my doula because I know her personally. And also a family member. And what are their roles? So the family members are here and the friends to make sure that the direct support team, oh my gosh, my brain. This is my pregnancy brain turning on. My midwife, my doula, and my midwife's assistant have everything that they need. That they have food available, and that I have food available if they're hungry. That if somebody needs to go out and make a supply run because maybe I forgot to get something, they can go off and do that. And then their other main role is actually just to be here to support my daughter. So will my daughter be allowed in the birthing room with me? Absolutely. Will one of those 3 near and dear people to my heart be allowed in there? Probably one at a time, but not all of them, because I don't necessarily want to be on display. And so their job is to make it possible for the birth team to do their job well. So I made a document that explains who all the players are, what their roles are, and then also commonly asked questions. Some of the things that I put in my commonly asked questions section are, what if I think I'm starting to get sick, or a family member is starting to get sick in my household? And in that part, I said, if you think you're getting sick or you think a family member is getting sick, please don't come. I asked 3 of you, so there would be some redundancy, so that if for some reason somebody couldn't make it to my home birth, they got 2 other people as backup, so that way nobody is feeling this unreasonable pressure to be present. Because as much as I would love for all 3 of them to be there, I also realized that, having a labor and delivery or a home birth, it doesn't necessarily come on the day and the time that you think it might. It might come a few days early or a few days late, and people have things going on in their lives. So if one of them or 2 of them can't make it, at least we have some redundancy. And then I also made a hospital transfer plan. So part of the home birth team's job is to make sure that, okay, if I have to have a hospital transfer plan, what happens to my daughter? Do we have car seats in the cars as they're supposed to be? And who is coming with me to the hospital? And so we have those things set too. We also have which hospital I'm going to, and yeah, that's really it. Which hospital I'm going to and why. So that way everybody has a document, they know what to expect. Hopefully things happen perfectly and it's this really uneventful, beautiful water birth in my home, and the baby gets delivered and it's all uneventful and beautiful. But we also have to be prepared in the worst case scenario. What happens if I have to go to the hospital? What happens if I have to have a C-section? So I also have a hospital transfer document that my midwife has and that my husband has and that I have. And what it is, it's a document that says what my birth preferences are, and if I have to have a C-section, what my preferences are there. Now, I'm not necessarily going to share what my exact preferences are because I think each individual should choose for themselves. But some things that if you were going to have a hospital transfer plan, or if you were going to have a plan in general, what are the things that you should put on there? So things I would recommend considering or putting in there is, do you care about delayed cord clamping? Do you know what delayed cord clamping is? And if there is delayed cord clamping, do you want it? There's also stem cell preservations from the umbilical cord. Do you want to preserve your baby's stem cells? Yes, no, maybe. How do you do that? That's something you need to know ahead of time. Do you plan on doing something with your placenta? Either encapsulate it or let the hospital dispose of it, or whatever's going to be happening to that. You need to have a plan for that, and who is going to be responsible for that, either the hospital or somebody else on your birth team. Other things to consider are some of the, do you want the lights dark? Do you want to have a medicated or unmedicated birth experience? Do you want coaching for pushing? Other things is if you do have a C-section, do you want somebody to be present during the operation if possible? If baby has to be transferred to the NICU, what then do you want to have happen there? Like for me, I definitely want my husband to go with her the baby if I can't also go for whatever reason. Let's say I had a C-section, I'm unconscious. I want somebody going. I don't want that baby going by themselves. Personal preference. You have to choose what's right for you. And then just different things like that. Do you want all your newborn exams on you, or do you want the doctors to be able to take the baby? What about washing off the vernix? Do you have an opinion or preference on that? Do you know why you would or wouldn't do that? Are you going to collect colostrum ahead of time? What the heck is colostrum collection? Are you okay if they supplement with formula if you go to the hospital? Things like that. Like, these are just the questions you should ask yourself, and then these are the things that I put in my hospital transfer plan. So what my birth preferences are, how do I want the newborn exams to go, what happens to the baby, can that baby ever be taken away or out of sight of one of the parents, what happens if there's a C-section and how do I want that to go, and other things like that. There's also other interventions they do with the baby that you should just be aware of and opt in or opt out of. Some of those might include, like, there's an eye ointment they use. It's a prophylactic antibiotic. Do you want that? Do you know why they use that? Have you had hepatitis B testing for yourself? Do you want to have your hepatitis B vaccine on the first day of life? And then also the vitamin K shot. Do you know what that's for? And how soon do you want that administered? So anyway, these are just the questions to ask and to have in your plan so that way you just know what's happening and that you're not just kind of being at the mercy of whatever the hospital protocols are, but that you are being proactive. And that's always my recommendation is, like, don't be a passenger in your own care. Be proactive in your own care. It's so, so important because nobody's going to be a better advocate for you than you. And it's not because the people in the hospitals or healthcare settings aren't wonderful. They absolutely are. They just have other things going on at the same time. You are the most important person to you and your family. They may have multiple people giving birth at the same time. They may have other family things that's pulling at their attention. And so to make sure that you get the care and the treatment that you want and deserve, you just have to make it really clear. Make it really, really easy for your healthcare providers to do what you want and what's best for you. Because if you make them make all the decisions in their already probably very, very loaded, very, very busy brains, they may not do something that you necessarily want, but makes the most sense to them based on, like their experience or how busy they are or certain protocols. So look this stuff up, figure it out, understand what is meaningful to you, and make sure that you have the labor and birth experience that is the most meaningful. Ooh, other things to consider. Do you want continuous heart monitoring for the baby or intermittent? Why or why not? Do you want an epidural? Yes, no, maybe. Do you want to be able to eat or drink while you're in labor? Do you want to be able to move around while you're in labor? Do you care? So anyway, things to think about. I'd love your opinions. Bye.